What's up? You're watching Cheap Seats. I'm Riley. That's Graydon. And today we're doing our Week 11 power rankings. I know that all the other channels do Week 12 power
Not
rankings.
us.
I do the numbers wrong, but
Yep.
I did it, so I have to stick to it.
It's not us, dude. That's not how we do it over here.
They not like us.
And I beat you this week 9
Yeah.
to 5, and you were 7 and 7 in your predictions because you suck. And the winner of last week, as we said last week, as you shook on and signed on,
I signed something.
wins a ski-doo purchased by the other one.
What? A ski-doo? I
Yeah.
can't afford a ski-doo
You
right
have
now.
to. You
I
have
got my
to.
mortgage. I got my kids. I got like a lot of doctor's appointments coming up. Buying a washer dryer.
I got a brown ski-doo.
Oh God, that is gonna set me back a lot. But a deal is a deal.
A deal's a deal. I get
Yeah.
a Grant Delpit signed ski-doo.
How are we gonna get a hold of Grant Delpit?
Yeah,
No one from
easy.
the NFL has hit us up yet.
Which
is so weird. No player, no coach, no GM, no fired GM from the Jets.
Yeah.
Joe Douglas.
Come on.
Come on, man. Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah, hit us up. Somebody from the NFL's gotta hit us up.
I feel like they're scared.
Yeah, I think so
They're
too.
scared of what we say and how we behave, probably.
There's only one undefeated team left, and it's the Cavs.
Ooh it, ooh it.
And that might change tonight. We'll
Don't
see.
say that, dude.
I'm just saying it might.
It's not going to.
Okay, yeah.
Those freaky leprechauns, their luck ran out when Larry Bird died.
He's alive.
Yeah, a couple more hours.
Okay. The Chiefs did lose their first game. I'll get in my thoughts about that later. We'll obviously talk about that with our power rankings picks.
Totally.
I want to talk about how kickers suck now.
Yeah, I think I heard a conversation last week, like before the games, obviously, that was like, I think maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had about making the goalposts tighter because kickers are too good. Like going into last week, everybody was just like, and even like the narrative of the first 4 weeks of the season were like, percentages from 60 are better than guys' percentages from 50 plus. A couple years ago, the kickers have gotten too good. As the season wears on, it gets harder.
Yeah, Justin Tucker's broken.
McPherson.
Yeah. Tyler Bass missed one, I think.
Harrison Butker had to get his knee drained.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm sorry, and I hate using language like this, but when you're kickers, it's out the game. He's a pussy.
Well, yeah, but
Aubrey, the best kicker in the league, doinked one last night.
he slipped. Right?
Doinked one last night on Jerry's home turf.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna say one thing really quick. It's been tough to stay this into football. Usually I take a little break right before the playoffs. You know what I mean? I went to like an emo show the other night during Sunday Night Football. Yeah. And then I was like, now I got to watch highlights of Joe Burrow. I don't want to do that.
That's easy.
I don't want to do it.
Class.
You know what I mean? Like I have been like.
See, for me, while I was taking my notes today, I was like, I'm in my pocket now because now as like a person who has never run an NFL show or anything, I'm just now familiar with like layer 3 of all the guys, you know, of like emerging talent and guys that are sitting and who's like a strong replacement, schemes and everything. I feel like I'm just now in my groove. And
last week you said Calais Campbell casually in conversation. And like I know who that is kind of, but I'm like, oh man, I'm not pulling my weight. And so like once it gets close to the playoffs, I'm gonna get really, really invested again. But until then, I'm gonna be talking about other stuff on the show too. I'm gonna add some color here.
Well, don't worry. Next week's really awesome for you to tune back in. And I should have wrote this down, but I'm gonna pull it out.
Oh, what's the
Thanksgiving slate is just awesome.
Oh yeah,
it's loaded with excitement, dude. Okay. I am so excited for
mashed potatoes,
everyone to be home during this slate.
Green bean casserole.
It's Thursday of Thanksgiving. Dolphins, Packers. Giants, Cowboys, and Bears, Lions.
Wow. Not
to mention that Giants, Cowboys will be Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Danny Dimes, benched. And I saw footage of him. He looked surprised that he got benched. He looked he is something like that. And Danny DeVito turned 80 a few days ago.
Really?
Happy birthday, Danny DeVito. Tommy DeVito, no relation that I know of, will be starting again in New Jersey. Yeah. And by New Jersey, I mean Old Jersey that he wore last year.
And wasn't this about the time last year where he kind of had his magic run? Like I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I think he like won on Thanksgiving.
He reminds me of Marcelo from SNL.
Yeah, a little bit. He's kind of Domingo core.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Domingo coded.
There's something about it where I'm like, I don't know if I believe that it's more like we're rooting for somebody who's an underdog than actually, like, is he that talented? Like,
No.
Like Tommy DeVito then turned right back into a pumpkin. And there was moments where I was kind of like, was he ever even good?
No, but what he has is like people, like he's likable.
Yeah.
And in that locker room, that seems to be really valuable right now. And
he
like,
has zhuzh, he has pizzazz.
yeah, he's got utzva.
Yeah. Gusto.
Gusta.
Yeah, he has that.
Yeah. He's got swagger and he's going to try really hard. He's a gamer. He's kind of got that Baker-esque chip on his shoulder. Not that he has the arm talent or anything of him, but
right. I'm going to take it back out of football for a second. Sure. You know Marcelo's from Ohio?
You're great.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I was watching something and he was talking about like growing up in Cincinnati and Cleveland and shit. And I was like, no way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of derailed everything that we had. Yeah.
It's
like a football show.
I know, it's tough, though. It's tough, yeah. I'll see what else I wrote down. How about the Cowboys sheet metal incident?
Yeah, right after the Sun incident of the week before, this stadium and Jerry Jones, like they couldn't get any more bad press there.
Right.
And then Jerry, as he does, is back on like Dallas local sports radio this morning, arguing with them how McCarthy hasn't lost the locker room. If your owner's got to call in and be like, actually, they really like Mike.
Yeah.
He's not the problem.
Honestly, I think they lost the locker room during the game because like 28 players on the Cowboys got hurt during a game that they weren't going to win regardless.
Cooper, another mishandled snap, a questionable 4th and 2 call in the red zone when you're down 10. I hate that analytical play there where it's like, oh, the numbers say go for it. It's like Cooper Rush is your quarterback. Like if you have an opportunity to cut it to a 1-possession game in the late 3rd quarter, that's what you should do. Like you're already in a position that's probably a little better than everyone else thought. They go for it on that 4th and 2. Texans score a touchdown that drive. Then the game's over. If you keep it at 7, put them at their 20, maybe there's a chance. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know the show's not really about stuff like this, but also I got my first good look at Cooper Rush during that game. Not very handsome.
No, not a handsome guy.
I understand that even I think if he was really, really good, he might not be a starter somewhere because there's just no lust for him probably.
Yeah.
He looks like he belongs in Texas though.
Couple more headlines.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch more.
Broncos. Got to talk about that.
Okay. Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns, fantastic performance from him against a non-existent pass rush, though.
Yes.
I think we're going a little overboard being like Bo Nix, rookie of the year, blah, blah, blah. I believe in him a lot. Like, I've believed in him since the beginning of the year. I think he's a good quarterback, good player. I just am like, when there's no pressure.
That's not the only game where they've mitigated pressure, though. The Broncos' offensive line has allowed the least pressures throughout the whole year at 60.
Totally. But Atlanta has caused the least pressure. So I'm like, if you're
they played all those other games.
Good O-line against a terrible pass rush, Bo Nix has got time and he's got composure to make great throws, which we know he can do. And so I'm just not going to go, I don't think it's I don't know. Let's give it a second.
Yeah.
They need to play a better defense, a better pass rush, and for me to really see it.
Big overreaction for that game for sure. But I thought the same thing, and then I looked at the O-line stats, and they're might have the best O-line in football after the Lions.
Right.
That's really good. That's great work by the front office there to protect your rookie quarterback. Because as we've seen with other guys, if Caleb Williams is the first thing I think of. It's if you have a bad O-line and can't protect him, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, and I wish I'd crunched the numbers. I picked the Falcons to win that game, and if I'd really thought about it, it makes way more sense that the Broncos would win that one. And the Falcons are kind of fakers. But back to Caleb Williams, played his first decent game and then had it spoiled the Broncos Chiefs way,
Yeah, totally. That was very reminiscent of that game. Ugly wins do matter, though, and that keeps the Packers that's one, if they can get it together, you win a couple of those slippery ones. I felt like that was a really critical win for them. When you win one you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
It was big.
Yeah, I don't know. They look, I don't know. Maybe it'll be, I thought about that with the Broncos coming back and winning so big. I was like, maybe the Packers do that next week. But
Kirk was really banged up. That's why I picked the Broncos in that one too.
Yeah.
He looked old.
Yeah, he is old. That's the thing.
First week ever, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow have all lost.
First week ever?
First week ever.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, usually, Burrow and Lamar play against each other. That's most weeks. So.
Nope.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I guess that makes sense statistically. But again, put them on the same team. Let's see what happens.
Josh Island.
Josh Island.
Welcome to Josh Allen's Island. It's not like the bad one.
Oh. I was thinking like a Love Island, Josh Island thing where he's the bachelor.
I was thinking Epstein's Island.
He looks good with the lettuce, I'll tell you what.
Epstein or Josh?
Whoa.
Sorry.
Hey.
My bad, dude.
Yeah.
Well, you know he's alive. He got a job in the cabinet.
What is Epstein, right?
Epstein.
Yeah, there's like some weird spelling of
Josh Allen becomes the odds-on favorite to win MVP. Plus 150.
Man.
And for the first time ever, the Lions are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl.
First time ever?
First time ever.
In history?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's wild.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, when you beat the Jags, I mean, that's how
that
you
will do
it.
it.
Yeah. That's a Super Bowl preview, right?
When you continue to break franchise records.
Yeah.
They broke a offensive franchise record. Jared Goff's the first ever quarterback to have 2 or more games in a season of 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a perfect passer rating. First guy ever. What a bounce back after throwing 5 picks.
Yeah, and I had some issues with the canonization originally, but now I believe he should be Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
J-Mo goes for career high, 123, and does the Marshawn Lynch into the end zone.
Yeah.
Awesome. We love to see that. David Montgomery hit the Pee Wee Herman. That was great.
Are they banning the Trump celebrate? I heard that.
The NFL will only ban like what is the phrasing? It's like not derogatory, but like inappropriate behavior. And it's hard to say that unless they're saying you're juicing cocks or something, that this dance is inappropriate.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I am going to start really disliking the people that do it.
Oh, yeah.
Brock Bowers hit it, and I was like, oh, that big stupid white, of course he's a fucking racist conservative prick.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he might be the best tight end in the NFL, but he's a piece of shit now. Yeah.
So Lions are great. Buffalo looks really great. That was big. Amari Cooper emergence in that game, I think, is really notable. And the way he talked about the team afterwards.
It was like the first time he ever felt joy on a football field.
Literally, it was like, all right, dude.
Well, he played for the Browns, Raiders, and Cowboys.
Okay, but he went to the playoffs last year and broke like a franchise record for receiving yards and like caught 1 billion yards with Joe Flacco. You're telling me that whole time he's just like, I don't think so.
I don't think so exactly, but I get it. I get what he's saying.
I guess
it feels like, because even the Browns, it was like, as Browns fans last year, it was sort of hard to root for them.
Yeah,
like
for sure,
because of who they have employed over there.
Yeah,
so I get that.
Steelers.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about them.
Yeah, I mean they're third in the AFC now, probably the biggest threat maybe to Kansas City.
Defense wins championships.
They won off 6 field goals and no touchdowns. They won off no touchdowns for the second time this year. They're 2-0 when they don't score a touchdown. The rest of the NFL is 2-19.
Yeah, well, this is what we saw in that game is Russell Wilson not play super, super well. And then you basically remember the first part of the season where they had Justin Fields who struggled to get it going early.
Yeah.
Their offense doesn't need to be that good when their defense is that good and their kicker's that good, especially when every other kicker is struggling. Boswell is automatic.
Yeah.
So
apparently people are saying his wife is very hot, and I haven't looked into it.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people are saying Boswell up.
Dude, we run an NFL show. You got to look into stuff like
I know. That's on me.
Yeah. Thursday, I expect a full report.
Got it.
Okay.
Seattle, Los Angeles Chargers, Houston, and the Rams. All really big wins.
Yeah, big wins where they really needed them.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. Stafford winning over the Patriots. I mean, I predicted it.
Right.
Drake May looks good, but Rams are a better team.
But the Seattle win in San Francisco is big.
That's huge.
You were saying before we shot that it's like their first win over them in like 5 years.
I don't know if that's the exact stat, but it's been a while. I know it's the first time Brock Purdy's ever lost to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So.
And then the Niners, every time we think they're getting healthier, they keep getting the benefit of the doubt in like Vegas spreads and stuff. But Kittle misses it again.
They're last in that division.
Yeah. And they are still I think they have the second best odds to win the division. Right. They just keep getting the benefit of the doubt, and the eye tests there, they don't look good.
No.
They look banged up. They look like no one's gotten anything going together because they've played with however many games there's been, it looks like they've played with 11 different lineups on each side.
Yeah, and the Seahawks are the new Eagles in that they're very confusing. I cannot tell what they're good at, what they're bad at, or whether they're going to win games.
And I don't think the Eagles are confusing anymore.
No, they're not. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like they've kind of taken over that because the Eagles are not confusing. But
Washington's kind of clinging on to the playoff spot now.
Yeah, but I think I'll talk about them later. I think they're good. I think they played a decent game. It just isn't. You're not seeing the Jaden Daniels you saw before, and I think it all comes down to just that latent injury. Like, he's just not really
another questionable play call there too.
Potential.
And I feel like a couple weeks ago I talked about it with Cliff Kingsbury, where he's really good at looking.
Whoa, you have to talk to Cliff?
Yeah, I got to talk to Cliff.
Why is his name spelled with a K?
It's awesome.
Cliff with a K? I don't like it.
He has a tendency to look really good with an offensive scheme through 7 weeks.
Yeah, you said
and then
that.
it kind of gets figured out, and they were down 12-10. Another red zone 4th down like Dallas did. Missed it. Eagles scored, and then the game got away from them a little bit.
Well, that's like your call about Derek Carr, where you were dead wrong. You know, you said that he only plays good for like a few weeks, and then look at him this week. I mean, wow.
Yeah, really torched up a Browns defense.
More like Taysom Hill, though. What the fuck?
Yeah, he had 2. Don't swear.
I'm allowed to swear, right?
He had 2 turnovers in the first half, and then just went nuts on us.
Yeah.
And the resurgence of MVS. Valdez-Scantling has looked really fucking good the last 2 weeks.
I saw Brandon Perna talk about this, but it's so funny that he was like pretty average with Mahomes and bad with Mahomes, like bad with Josh Allen, and then really, really good with Derek Carr.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it might be the case of like he is like they're with Olave out. He's just their number one.
Yeah.
And so he's getting the first looks where maybe he's just like a bad freestyler with Allen and Mahomes where everything like really breaks down and you have to like run your own route at some point. I think Valdez-Scantling is so fast that if like you drop a play and you're like, torch him.
Yeah.
He can do that. But with Mahomes and Allen, he was probably the third look after the other guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anthony Richardson's back and gets a huge win.
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell?
They're still in the race.
They kinda.
Yeah.
They beat the Jets, dude.
Damn right they did. Damn right they did, baby.
The Jets suck. I mean, I like seeing Anthony Richardson do that. It's really, really cool that he got benched and then like a few weeks later came back and played like that.
I understand it now. Have you seen that meme?
Oh. What's that deal?
It's like shows a mistake you
Thanos?
made. And then it's I can't think of the movie, but the guy spins a basketball on his finger and he goes, I understand it now. And then it shows the highlights.
Thanos?
It's not Thanos.
Oh, okay. Here, wait, guys. Who am I? Does he do that, right, Grant?
Yeah,
he snaps.
He snaps his fingers.
Snaps his fingers. Does he do his step?
He's usually wearing a huge gold glove.
Gold glove, okay.
Yeah, you need a gold glove.
Okay.
With, like diamonds in it and stuff.
All right, Tony, let's get a gold glove by Thursday. I want to do a Thanos thing. I'm going to try a Thanos deal. Do you want to do your power rankings?
Yeah, one last note that I think is an interesting storyline. Zach Taylor might get fired.
Yeah, he's got a losing record as a head coach.
And the best quarterback that you could have for an incoming coach is obviously Joe Burrow.
So do you think that Bill Belichick's going to go to the Bengals?
I think that's a storyline we really need to start focusing on.
Did he ever work for the Bengals? I feel like that's
he worked for the Browns.
He worked for the Browns, Jets, and Patriots.
Probably a couple other people as coordinators. Yeah. I don't think he worked in Cincinnati.
Okay.
But if you gave Bill Belichick Joe Burrow, that would warm up his old cock.
Yeah, well, no comment.
Let's get into my top 10.
Yeah. All right.
I had a really hard time with number 10 this week. I'll say the 3 that were right there, and then I'll give my third. I had the Broncos, Cards, and Commanders all right there.
Yep.
But I gave it to the Packers.
Okay.
Because ugly effing wins matter, and I think that's the best quarterback out of those 4. It's Jordan Love. I think that's the best defense out of those 4. It's debatable with the Broncos, but I don't know. They win an ugly game. Divisional games tend to be ugly. You gave up a lot of yards to a rookie, but Caleb's really talented and is going to figure it out. I believe in that. Yeah, I mean, the Packers, really the edge I give them here is Josh Jacobs looks angry. And if your starting running back can like take more loads as the season goes on, and if he's pointing out other teams' star safeties to hit them during the game, did you see that when he had a breakaway run? He pointed at Jalen Johnson and said, and Jalen Johnson ran into him. He went, shrugged him off and walked out of bounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was badass. So Packers remain in the top 10. Number 9, maybe the most boring team in my top 10. The Vikings. The defense came back alive this week. I think they got 5 sacks, produced a couple turnovers. Addison looks pretty sweet. Justin Jefferson is now the all-time leader through 5 seasons, I think, at receiving. They obviously have great talent. It's just their whole lives are going to depend on Sam Darnold. Kind of discouraging news with JJ's second knee surgery. I feel like somehow that like subconsciously puts even a little more pressure on Sam Darnold, and he's like doesn't have that window. He's like, oh, 1 sweet year, I can go get paid somewhere else. This is like, oh, maybe they got to re-sign me, and however far I go this year, there's more expectations next year. Whatever. Relying on Sam Darnold should scare you a little bit as a fan, but defense is sick. Texans come in at 8, kind of a big bounce back. Joe Mixon's running really angry, and again, back to what I was saying about the Packers, your rushing game becomes so important this time of year as defenses are really worn down. Return to Nico Collins. Nico Collins betters. Sorry about that. First play of the game, 75-yard touchdown taken away. First touchdown scorer, anytime scorer, and like 75 yards, I think was his over-under. All got robbed on one play on just an ineligible man downfield on the first play that you definitely practiced on Monday. My throat!
What's happening?
Don't worry about it, child.
That's my fault. Yeah. Back to your power rankings.
Yeah, back to my power rankings. And they're doing this without Will Anderson, who's probably their best defensive lineman, definitely their best defensive lineman, maybe their best defensive player. To'o is now a household name as he had a great game at linebacker for them, and his last name is spelled T-O''O, T-O''O. I like how that looks.
Yeah. I don't think he's a household name because I don't think most households watched that game. And I'm sorry for interrupting again, but I just had to say that. I barely watched. I skipped the first quarter. I was listening to 2-Star and the Dream Police by McGee.
Got a great album.
It's really good.
I looked into buying the Japanese exclusive vinyl last night.
Everybody wants that guitar sound.
All right, up next, I got the Los Angeles Chargers. Really, like, such an identity on offense, and as I called it too, you know, they start slow and they're winning games just with offense, and then you kind of you start to peel back that can of whoop ass, which is Justin Herbert. He was scrambling around. He led the team in rushing this week. He was throwing nasty little dots, and Quentin Johnston is really emerging as a guy who like gets it.
Yeah, can I say one thing?
Please.
I saw a tweet that was like, I think Justin Herbert would be considered like one of the best quarterbacks in the league if he just had a cooler last name.
Yeah.
His name's just Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up, but again, back to the power rankings.
He's my long shot for MVP. If you want a huge odds right now, I think he's sitting at 25-1.
Yeah.
So if they run the table and he throws like 20 more touchdowns, who knows?
Okay.
And the stadium was loud. I'll say that too. The Chargers have some fucking fans, and I think oddly enough, probably the most out of any team in the NFL, it's their head coach. Like Harbaugh like creates a vibe, creates like a thing that people want to root for. And he like really shows off Herbert and he like praises him. It's like not all so different than like the Dan Campbell effect in Detroit. His first season here, people were like, wait a minute, this guy is so fucking gritty and just like a football dude that it like bleeds out into the rest of the roster. You're like, oh, I really like J.K. Dobbins. I really like Herbert. I really like Glad McConkey because.
But Dan Campbell was like, oh, we're biting people's kneecaps off, and
Harbaugh's like an autistic football guy.
Harbaugh's like, damn, Justin, your ass looks so good in those pants. Throw that ball,
Try
Justin.
some of these pleats on. You look good in a pair of pleats. I like watching the Chargers. They are a sweet team, and similar to the Texans, they won that game without Khalil Mack. So both those teams have a higher ceiling as their defense gets healthier. Into the next one, the Ravens fall all the way to 6. What a disgusting loss. We're getting the late season Lamar activities a little early. Yeah. He's starting to, all that laughing he was doing in those other games as the number one offense is starting to look like there's some lack of details that are going on this offense. Derrick Henry kind of got bottled up, only ran for 65 yards, granted, maybe against the best defense in the NFL. I don't know. This team has its flaws, and we've seen it time and time again as the late winner comes on, that Lamar is prone to make mistakes, one way of putting it, or maybe there's just so much of the offense relying on him that, like, inevitably he's going to make, when he does make a mistake, it's that much more of a big deal. There's nothing there to really cover it up.
Yeah.
Right above them, my Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Who I'm honestly kind of proud of this team. Right. How they got
team.
Sirianni got booed in that win against Cleveland, and it just kind of looked like the worst win of the year, where it was like, oh, this is bad. Like, if the fans are pissed after a win, this is really bad. They've really bounced back. They have a big time identity with the bad game from Derrick Henry and another 150 plus game or 120 plus game from Saquon. The rushing, I love when the rushing championship is like a dead race. Oh, we got 120 game. Oh, it's 60. And then it just like flip flops. Like, that becomes really fun at the end of the year.
It's those two and Drake May, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sweet. And Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship walked into this game with shirts on that said "Exciting Whites," which is awesome.
Right.
It's for a white guy. And I'll say it, I'm a white guy.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
To see two defensive studs going in with that swagger, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's an interesting element going on there. Their defense has really tightened up. It looks like a hard team to score on, especially pass on. So, yeah, Eagles look great. I think they're second in the NFC. So
they are.
They're right there.
Yeah.
And I called that game, whoever the winner of that game, to be the division winner, and I'll stick to it. I think there's a chance the Commanders could miss the playoffs.
Okay.
That's in play. Number 4, the Schittsburg dickheads full of mucus and shit and stuff. Whatever, dude. They win such an ugly game, and I'm so big on ugly wins that, like, this team is literally the definition of an ugly win. They win it in special teams, best special teams unit in the whole league. They can just kind of run. They even put Justin Fields in to do that one quarterback run, and he fell short. That is, like, hilarious. And then they're like, fuck it, put Russ back in and we'll go for it on 4th and then win the game. I was like, what the hell? And then they stopped the 2-point conversion at the end. Like, that is just, it's quintessential Pittsburgh football. They win that huge game, but they get Cleveland on Thursday night. And I swear to God, if that's not a trap game, I don't know what the fuck is. All right, number 3, Chiefs fall. Boy, oy, 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 oy. Patrick Mahomes is throwing a lot of interceptions. And I think that's a bit of a problem. They do get Pacheco back next week, which I think will be good, even though the run game really hasn't been their problem. Kareem Hunt's looked more than serviceable. He looks angry, and he looks like he can get you yards whenever, but he's old. If you can relieve him with Pacheco, or rather work Pacheco back up to speed for the playoffs with Kareem, that's a good situation. D-Hop, still a couple amazing catches. It's tough winning in Buffalo. I don't really hold this against them that much, but I got to put the Bills at 2 ahead of them, because Josh Allen looks really great, and it's the X factor there is the emergence of Amari Cooper. They have a clear number 1 that can make some tough plays, allow Josh to have faith in fitting in those smaller windows, because he can always make a throw that's like, holy shit, how'd he do that? But it's like believing in the guy you're throwing it to that, like, makes you do that. Shakir gets a little banged up, but whatever. I think that emergence of Amari Cooper is a big X factor for them. And James Cook's got to run for a few more yards, because Josh Allen can't be doing that every game. It scares me going into the playoffs if he's your leading rusher. Number 1, greatest football team maybe I've ever seen in my whole life, next to whatever the 07 Patriots was. Point differential, they could go for an NFL record in point differentials this season. And I think Dan Campbell's scary ass wants it. He wants to be the biggest scoring. Like, he wants to be the biggest ass kickers of all time.
Yeah.
It's awesome. They lose Anzalone, a really talented linebacker, but I think everybody's kind of blowing that a little out of proportion, because they get to put in Rodrigo, who was a really, really good rookie last year, who everyone was high on, and then Anzalone kind of is the veteran that they played instead. Zadarius looked really great in his first game, got his sack, and Hutchinson's walking around and, like, doing rehab in the pool, and, like, he might be back for the playoffs, which is crazy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Kirby Joseph, again, another insane game. That Brian Branch is destroying people. This team's just, they're fucking awesome. I might put money on them for the Super Bowl. I might do it.
Okay.
That's my top 10. What are your problems?
I feel like there's some mixing around I would do in that top 6 there, which you'll see in mine. And then I do think the Packers are kind of frauds. And I also think that Magdalena Bay didn't just come out with this album this year.
Yeah.
Like Mercurial World 2021 record, very solid.
Yeah.
They're not just like a out of nowhere band. So you kind of got to dig back into their catalog. But let's get into my power rankings. All right, here we go. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, like the Sabrina Carpenter record, which has grown on me. All right, next. 10. Yeah, Broncos.
Hell yeah. Let's go, Tony.
Yeah, Tony. This is Tony's team.
Yeah.
All right, this is Tony's team. They look good in orange, and I love that defense is just so good, and like you said, the O line is solid, and they're just putting it together. I think they're that, especially with like the fall of the Bengals. I think they're that final AFC playoff team. I think they're going to be the last seed in the AFC to make the wild card. And I'd love to see them go on a run. I think they could pick up some momentum before the playoffs actually start. And it's cool to see, the Chargers and Broncos both playing good football in that division that has just been dominated for so long by the Chiefs. So
totally.
I'm excited about them.
Me
All right,
too.
number 9. I got the Vikings here, same spot as you. Yeah, it's felt a little bit boring, but that's mostly compared to how exciting it was in the first 5-6 games of the season.
Totally.
I still believe that Sam Darnold is at least has a little bit of spark in him. I hate to see him playing the way that he's playing because I have been I don't like seeing a quarterback turn into a pumpkin.
It's hard to watch.
It's really hard to watch, and I want to believe in them.
Yeah.
And I like seeing, Jordan Addison getting those targets and making big plays, and Justin Jefferson getting back involved when Sam Darnold just could not hit him last week. And so, I believe in their defense to hold strong enough to get them into the playoffs.
Sam Darnold's head's so big.
I know, right?
You think he'd be, he wouldn't make mistakes like that.
Right. Well, he was making mistakes the whole first part of his career. This is kind of the first year where it was maybe he's actually good.
Yeah.
But okay, number 8. I got the Commanders here. Yeah, I don't know. Even in that loss to the Eagles, I think now that we know the Eagles are that good, I was kind of like, second half didn't look great, and obviously they had a garbage time. They score, get it to within 8. It looked like for a second they could maybe make something happen, but they couldn't do it. And I don't know. I still believe that as Jaden gets healthier, which I hope happens, that they will kind of put together some of the magic of the first part of the season. And their defense has still seemed pretty decent. They just kind of struggled in that one game, but throughout the season they've outshined their potential. People kind of thought they were going to be bottom 10 defense, and they've played pretty decent. So, All right, number 7, Chargers. Same spot as you, I think.
Yep.
I thought they were just kind of a defensive team, and now Justin Herbert's making it happen. And
Lad.
Yeah, Lad McConkey.
He's so fun.
And I mean, when you got a name like that, you got to throw him the ball. So, all right, number 6. I got the Bills here. And I knew this would be my crazy one.
What the?
All right, here's why. Let's do a little history lesson here. What happens the past couple of years? Bills win in the regular season. Bills lose in the playoffs.
So they're low on your power rankings based on a future projection of past happenings.
I just don't believe what's happening to be sustainable. I just don't. And I feel like this is I'm fading them. I'm just kind of in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, when everybody has all that hype of Josh Allen could be the MVP, whatever, I believe wholeheartedly they're not going to the Super Bowl. They're just not going. Does anybody remember that they got absolutely smacked by the Ravens?
Yeah.
Destroyed. And now everybody's like, the Ravens are frauds and the Bills are maybe the best team in football. I just don't fully believe it. I've seen this happen before with the Bills. This is about the time when everybody decides that they're the best team in the AFC, and the Chiefs aren't as good as they were last year. Everybody does it. And I don't know. It just keeps happening. Of course, the Chiefs weren't going to win every game.
Yeah, I think it was last year where the Chiefs lost to the Raiders around this time. It was either the week before.
It was Christmas.
Yeah, it was I knew
Christmas.
it was a holiday game.
It was their last loss.
And I remember being like, they're done.
Yeah.
They're cooked.
Going into the playoffs, nobody thought the Chiefs were winning the Super Bowl last year. They were
Yeah.
like 10-6. Like,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the talk is like maybe that loss is good for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because now you get all that pressure of the undefeated season and all that bullshit out of the way. And now it's just like back to playing.
Yeah. All right, number 5. I got the Ravens because they smacked the Bills. and just also because like Lamar magic happens late in the season. It's beginning of the season and end of the season. I like to see what Lamar can make happen. And I want to see him put it together in the playoffs. He hasn't been able to do it his whole career, and I want to see him be able to do it. I just think they're too strong and too dynamic on offense. And as their defense has been improving up until, this week wasn't it was a decent showing by that defense. They didn't give up a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I just think when you can bottle up Derrick Henry, it makes that offense less dynamic. And I don't think most teams are going to be able to do that. And I think that Lamar will be able to make those kind of freak plays later in the season and win games. I think they still have a chance to win the AFC North. I know that it doesn't look great, but I think that they could. And I still think they're a huge threat to every team in the AFC when they get to the playoffs. So
couple big drops by Zay again.
I know.
I hate to see it.
Yeah. Number 4, Steelers. Like I said,
Pittsburgh Peelers.
Yep. Defense wins championships. I love Najee Harris.
I do too.
There's something about him running the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I really think that he's going to creep into those conversations, like with Saquon and Derrick Henry and
one of the better backs.
Yeah, one of the better or Bijan,
JK.
JK. Like that's
Mixon.
I could see that. Joe Mixon. I will say I left the Texans off of here because beating the Cowboys doesn't do anything for me.
That's fair.
And they haven't looked as good. CJ Stroud continues to make mistakes. Joe Mixon, however,
that guy's running.
Oh,
he's found the fountain of youth. Chris Collinsworth said that last night.
Yeah.
I was like, totally.
He's 28
Yeah.
and he is running the ball better than he ever has and doing things that I'm like, he got hit in the backfield and ran for like 14 yards. And I was like, how is this dude doing
that
this?
first touchdown, that 45-yarder was fast.
Yeah. And when he ran off to the side and just like waltzed in, I was like, oh shit.
The high step.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of took into account their good first half against the Lions to put them in my power rankings because they looked good enough for one half to beat what I think is the best team in football.
Yeah. But against the Cowboys, whatever.
Yeah. We both have said Pittsburgh too, and no one said anything about George Pickens. We need to say something quick, acknowledge him.
Oh, yeah, just that he's like an evil man.
He's just a lunatic. And he did the long step to get out of bounds this week.
Yeah.
He had a great catch and said, just kidding, not a catch. It's like, what is going through this guy's mind?
My favorite thing that he did is catch a ball for a 2-yard gain, get up and go, first down. Not a first down, literally 2 yards. 2 yards, nowhere close to a first down.
Down the field.
Like, move the chains. But yeah, I like that he just kind of destroys people for no reason, and he seems like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I love it.
And I like a good villain, especially on the team that I hate the most, that I've grown to like.
There's a legacy in Pittsburgh of evil wide receivers too.
Yeah, I love it. So
let him play defense. I say let him play both ways.
I think honestly, George Pickens, plays a couple more years and maybe wins a championship or something like that, retires, maybe he dates Wovicky. All right, number 3. I got the Eagles all the way up here because they just look the most complete right now, both sides of the ball. It's exciting. I'm sorry for doubting this team, but you can understand why. Last year they had the craziest skid, and we're about at that time.
Yeah.
By the way, if there's going to be a funk or a skid, it's going to happen now. And so I hope it doesn't. I like seeing Jalen Hurts look confident. I like seeing Saquon doing gymnastics over people.
Shout out Toledo on the defense.
And Quinyon Mitchell. Yep, love it. All right, number 2. I finally put the Chiefs at number 2. I said until they lose, I was going to keep it my number 1. I kept to my word.
Thank you.
I still think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I hope not. And I hope that it's the Lions on the other side, no matter if it's the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, whoever from the AFC, I hope it's the Lions on the other side and they win. But right now, it doesn't look, I don't know. There's something in the air where I'm kind of like, we all have hope for all these other teams. And this is the time of the year where it happens. And the Chiefs losing one game to a good Bills squad. It was going to happen at some point, and I don't think it means a lot for the season. The other thing is that, like you said, Pacheco's coming back, and their run game has not been bad I'm going out for late night ice cream. I'm on a Kareem hunt. What do you think?
I was just thinking if like the Eagles beat the Chiefs, you would have dropped them further than 2, but because they lost to the Bills, and you have this weird thing going with Josh Allen that they remain
It's
at
not
2.
with Josh Allen. It's with the rest of the Bills team. I like Josh. He's good.
I like the Kareem Hunt thing you did.
Yeah, you kind of skipped over that. And
Well, because I was pissed. I was trying to figure out a flaw in your calculations here.
I feel like I should have said dessert. I'm going out for late night dessert. I'm on a Kareem hunt. Yeah, I think it's good to not like do Kareem and cream. Yeah, ice cream. But yeah, I don't think so. I think if the Eagles beat the Chiefs, it would have been the same thing. I wouldn't have the Eagles over the Chiefs.
Okay.
Like,
if Pittsburgh did it though, you would have dropped them to 3.
who would be over them? Pittsburgh would be at number 2?
Eagles.
No.
Okay.
No. If Pittsburgh, no. There's really no team they could have lost to that would have taken them below 2.
They still have Patrick Mahomes, no matter who they lose to.
Unless they lost like 62-3 against the Cowboys or something. Like if it was like that, I'd be like, oh yeah, this team's fucking broken. You can't fix that. Sorry for cursing again.
Who's
Number
one?
I got the Lions. Yeah. They scored on 7 straight. They scored touchdowns on 7 straight drives, and that is crazy. They beat the shit out of that team. It was like, it didn't. It was like I saw somebody say it was like an early in the year college game.
Yeah, Stu said that.
Yeah, Stu, our friend Stu said that, and it really did feel like that. It was like, oh,
It's like Bishop Sycamore versus OSU.
Yeah, like there's one team that just shouldn't have even been there.
Yeah, worst loss in Jags history.
It's one of the worst losses in NFL history.
Their former worst loss was 1995 against who?
Browns.
The Lions.
Oh, really?
The Lions own the 2 biggest margins of victories in Jaguars franchise history.
Yeah. Yeah, they look freakish and great.
Talk about a great kicker too.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up too. I was at that emo show the other night, and you know how like, okay, an opening band doesn't do an encore, but if they do really, really like people like the band a lot, they'll still, cheer one more song after each one. Or after that set ends, they'll just cheer one more song. You know how that chant goes, right? Yeah. One more song. One more song.
Yeah, it's Jared Goff.
It was Jared Goff at this show.
At an emo show, they were doing Jared Goff. That's
it literally started as one more song for maybe one stanza.
And then people were like, wait a minute.
And it was literally Jared Goff just for like a full couple minutes.
Yeah.
And it took me and Ray a second. We looked at each other. We were like, are they chanting Jared Goff down there? And they were. And I was like, in Detroit, that's what you do for an encore. So from now on, if you go to a show in Detroit and you want that band to come out and play 2 or 3 more songs,
just say Jared Goff.
Do Jared Goff and it'll work.
Until the band brings out Jared Goff, the place would light on fire.
There were also, I think there were 5 different people at that emo show in Jared Goff jerseys.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was.
What a city.
Yeah, music and sports have never been more connected,
Yeah, that's how I feel about the state of the country, too.
I think Carrie Underwood did that was like a big part of it, because she's waiting all day for Sunday night. And then they got Snoop Dogg and Jelly Roll for Monday night, right?
I think it's Luke Combs.
Is it?
I don't know. I
might
can't
be.
tell those bearded country whites are really apart.
Yeah, I've been watching them blurry recently, the games. Yeah. Well, I have it in a what do they call it for 12? Whatever the 12 version of a quad box is. I've been watching a lot of different stuff. Me and Hunter have been pulling up like Antiques Roadshow, like we said, Pawn Stars on one, Ice Road Truckers on another. So we got 12 different things.
dos?
What'd you say?
DSA dos box?
Is that the code?
I love your top 10, man. Besides where the Bills are, I think that's a little
I moved them down after beating the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that's a little silly.
Yeah,
and the Commanders are in the 7th seed in the NFC, which I think is a really scary position to be in on a skid with a kind of banged up rookie quarterback. I don't know. I'm I've been skeptical of them all year, but I think that's a scary position for them to be in. They gotta go hard on them. But it's a great week of football. It's a pretty shitty slate this week.
Yeah.
So hopefully
it doesn't look great.
Hopefully a good opportunity for us just to get some good wins.
Yeah. And hopefully they do a photosensitivity warning next time that Charlie XCX performs in Times Square, because there was a lot of party girl flashing and stuff. There's a lot of people in there, walking by, and you never know who's photosensitive. So I think that's a big part of it. So Yeah.
This was
Spotify Wrapped coming out
This
soon.
was Power
sure?
Rankings
Get ready
week
for Spotify
11. We are Cheap Seats. Thank you so much for being here, Riley.
Oh, thanks, man. Great to be here. And again, go buy my new book. It's out. It's out now.
Roll it, Tony.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye. Grant, say something to the camera.